Hello and welcome. I'm Orbital Jeffo coming to you live from the Kerbal Space Center here on Kerbin. It is a gorgeous sunny day and we are just moments away from the launch of the Acapello VI Munar Mission. All systems have been prepped and we're just waiting on the signal to proceed. It appears we are receiving a go. We should see the clock beginning to tick down momentarily on your screen. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank all of our viewers out there for your support. Without it, it just wouldn't have been possible to travel all the way to Kerbal today for this momentous occasion. If you're new to the broadcast, be sure to subscribe for future content beamed direct to you from Kerbin. Let's go ahead and meet our crew on board today. Our pilot in command is Kerman. He's hailing from Green Meadows in Kerbolia. Our engineer on board is Gerberry and Kimley from Kerbopolis. And of course, our scientist leading our experiments today is none other than Kimley Kerman. She's the winner of the 2017 Kerbin Unity Award. Our clock is nearing launch time. We are about 10 seconds to go. And I am excited, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we are at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are go for launch for the Acapello VI Munar Mission, a momentous occasion here on Kerbin. And it appears we do have a successful, stable liftoff thus far. We are gaining altitude and speed. And the control room is reporting that all systems are nominal at this time. All systems are green. That is excellent news. This is a momentous occasion for the people of Kerbin, and we couldn't be happier to be here to support our green brothers and sisters from another star. Now, if anything does go wrong, our rocket today is equipped with an escape tower. That escape tower is designed to detach the command pod, lift it away safely from the rest of the rocket, where parachutes can deploy, bringing it back down to safety. We don't anticipate any trouble, though. We anticipate a successful launch and orbit. Now, the first maneuver that our rocket is going to be performing is the gravity turn. The gravity turn is designed to allow the rocket to build up horizontal velocity as well as altitude. It takes incredible amounts of speed to be able to reach a stable orbit, and that is the purpose of the gravity turn, to build up horizontal velocity. Now, our ship has already cleared about 3 kilometers in altitude, and it is also gaining speed. It is already cleared 200 meters per second and climbing fast, using those incredibly powerful Mastodon engines, 5 of them on the bottom of that main stage. Incredibly powerful engines. You can see on your screen now we've got a peek inside the Kerbal Space Center control room. We have talented technicians in charge of today's launch. If anything goes wrong, they're going to be on top of it. This has been an event in preparation at the Kerbal Space Center for over a year now. I don't anticipate any problems. They're right on top of it. You can see an incredible view back down of the KSC Peninsula. What a view, and what a gorgeous day here on Kerbin. It could not be sunnier. And looks like we have a first look of the crew. They are steely-faced, incredibly brave Kerbinauts, persevering through the incredible G-forces being placed on their little green bodies. And it looks like our rocket is clearing 18 kilometers in altitude, just about 500 meters per second of velocity. Things are progressing perfectly. rocket looks like it is entering the upper stages of the atmosphere. You can see the plume of the engines changing as the air gets thinner. This is normal. All systems are nominal. I'm being told by the control room that everything looks just as planned. Some incredible views of Kerbin right now as our rocket is banking over, building up that horizontal velocity I was talking about just a few moments ago. Now, the first event that we're going to be coming up on is MECO. That is a main engine cutoff. We'll also be jettisoning that powerful main stage. It will then fall back down into the ocean, where it will become a beautiful coral reef for the fishes of Kerbin. As you can see on the screen, we are reaching orbital velocities of over 1,500 meters per second. It looks like we are passing 62 kilometers in altitude. And we do have confirmation of main engine shutdown. Main stage has separated. It will now deorbit itself, and it will land in the ocean. Our second stage is a less powerful engine, but just as important. It's going to finish our orbital establishment. It will circularize our orbit, and then it will also be used again when we begin our lunar transfer. Now, you may have just witnessed on your feed the escape tower has jettisoned. It will also deorbit back down to Kerbin. However, unlike the main stage, it will likely burn up upon re-entry. And another look at our brave crew of Kerbinauts. They do look pretty relieved that they're not facing those incredible G-forces that the main stage produced. And less than a minute to go now on the second stage burn. And we have shutdown of the second stage engines, and the control room is confirming a stable 90-kilometer orbit. And in just a few minutes, we're going to be deploying the fairing. You'll be able to see the Lunar Excursion module housed underneath. And occasionally, the signal may blip in and out. Please don't worry, that is normal the further our spacecraft gets from the Kerbal Space Center. Now, once the fairing is deployed, the control room will begin programming the Lunar Transfer Burn. Once the Lunar Transfer Burn's complete, the spacecraft will detach the orbiter and the truss structure. Then it'll flip 180 degrees and then redock nose to nose with the Lunar Excursion module. And we have fairing deployment. You can see from the view inside the spacecraft there. You can see the Lunar Excursion module housed underneath, on top of which, on that truss structure there, is the orbiter. And you can see how the orbiter will need to flip around to redock with the MEM nose to nose. And you can see from the view inside the control room, the crew is now plotting a lunar transfer. They're going to plan a burn. It'll be a several-minute burn. It will put the spacecraft on a lunar encounter trajectory. You can see from the graphic on the screen the spacecraft's course today. You see our current position, followed by, after one full orbit, will be the lunar transfer burn. That'll put the spacecraft on the proper trajectory. It'll then encounter the Mun, be pulled in by its gravity into a figure 8, and it'll eventually perform a capture burn and establish a lunar orbit. Now, during this time, our spacecraft is going to be repositioning itself in preparation for that lunar burn. It's not going to begin the lunar burn just yet. It's going to complete one full orbit around Kerbin before it begins the burn. And Control is confirming that the spacecraft is in position for its lunar transfer burn, and that'll be right after it completes that one full orbit around Kerbin. And with the help of some Kerbal magic, we are warping time and speeding up that orbital procedure. And while we're waiting for the spacecraft to complete its orbit, I should take this opportunity to mention that the Acapello program on Kerbin was modeled after the Apollo program here on Earth. They have used many of our schematics and our plans to accomplish this gargantuan task of creating a stable and functional Kerbal lunar program. And as the spacecraft has passed around the dark side of the planet, we've had a great opportunity to see some of the beautiful city lights down on the planet of Kerbin. Kerbin is home to quite a few metropolitan centers, cultural hubs, and great tourist attractions. If you're ever in the Kerbal star system, be sure and stop by Kerbin. And we are coming up on the beginning of the lunar transfer burn. Here it is, the start of the translunar burn. After this point, after this burn is complete, the spacecraft will be on a translunar trajectory, a trajectory that will set it to encounter the Mun in approximately 2 days. Coming up on the end now of our lunar transfer burn. And the control room has confirmed the completion of the lunar transfer burn. They're now checking the trajectories. The trajectory should put essentially the spacecraft on a collision course with the Mun, and that is on purpose. Once the second stage is jettisoned, it will continue on that collision course, while the spacecraft corrects its trajectory to orbit around the Mun. As you can see, the spacecraft's current position. In just a few moments, it's going to begin the detach, flip, and dock procedure with the lunar excursion module. At that point, the second stage will jettison from the craft, and as I just mentioned, will impact the Mun. That will eliminate any orbital debris. The spacecraft is preparing now for the orbiter detachment. The orbiter will detach, that truss structure will break away, and the orbiter will then flip around, dock nose to nose with that lunar excursion module. And there it is, the orbiter detachment. That debris will drift off, and the orbiter will, in a few moments, flip around and face the lunar excursion module. The control room is reporting a normal detachment. There is no damage and no residual debris left hanging. And as we can see from the onboard cameras, the crew's just waiting for that connection ring to drift away. Then they'll begin the redocking procedure. There's a view of the crew now. They look like they're concentrating, getting ready to concentrate on the docking procedure. The docking procedure is handled manually from on board the spacecraft. That is on purpose. If anything should go wrong, the crew is there to intervene. And there it is. There's the flip. The flip of the orbiter vessel. Has flipped around using its reaction wheels, not using the reaction control thrust on purpose. That is to avoid any deviations in their position relative to the lunar excursion module. It is now, however, using some of that reaction control thrust to bring the spacecraft closer. About 1 to 2 meters per second as it approaches the lunar excursion module. And here comes the docking. Looks like they are struggling just a little bit. Looks like a little bit of a hairy situation getting that lined up with MEM. Waiting for confirmation that docking has concluded. Looks like it's a little bit wobbly. Looks like there we go. We have confirmation. Successful docking, the orbiter vessel with the lunar excursion module. Successful, no damage reported. A little bit hairy situation there for a moment, but our fearless crew, our brave, consummate professionals have pulled us through. Now you can see inside in the control room, they are shutting down that second stage engine, and they are preparing to jettison that second stage. And as we mentioned earlier, that second stage will continue on the current trajectory with the impact course with the MUN, and that'll prevent any extraneous debris orbiting the MUN or orbiting the Kerbin immediate system there. We're just waiting for separation of that second stage. Should be any minute. It looks like we do. We have separation of the second stage. It has been jettisoned from the spacecraft. There's the feed. We have a successful separation. Now that second stage will drift further away from the spacecraft as it makes its trajectory adjustments. And those adjustments will allow the spacecraft to enter an orbital trajectory around the MUN while the second stage continues on that collision course. And as you can see here on our updated graphic, our current position, and in just a few minutes, the spacecraft is going to perform a simple trajectory adjustment using its RCS system, and after which it will be entering its cruise phase of the flight. It will be about a day and a half to 2 days, and the fearless Kerbinaut crew will be arriving at the MUN. And the spacecraft has reoriented itself in preparation of its trajectory adjustments. And you can see the control room right now is beginning to calculate those adjustments. They are aiming for about a 22-kilometer orbit around the MUN today. That is, give or take, about 3 kilometers on either side. Now, the spacecraft is going to be using its reaction control thrusters for this trajectory adjustment to spend an ignition and burn the main engine for such a small adjustment would be a waste. And such a small change in delta V is needed because we are so far out from the MUN. Closer we get to the MUN, the more delta V or velocity change would be needed to make these course corrections. And here we can see the Acapello VI making its trajectory adjustments using its reaction control thrust. There in the background, you can see that second stage is continuing on its journey. And this also brings us to the end of our broadcast for today. The control room is going to set the spacecraft on its cruise phase of flight. It'll make a few more trajectory adjustments later on in its route. But for now, the crew's going to settle in for the long journey. Here's the current position of our ship. We'll make another trajectory adjustment if needed as it approaches the Mun in about a day and a half. And that's also when we'll be back with another broadcast. Now, please note that is Kerbal time. This broadcast, due to the light delay, will take some time to reach Earth. I do hope you'll join me for it. If you're new to our channel, please be sure and hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified of the next broadcast. And if you liked today's broadcast, please be sure and hit that like button. Let us know you support us. And I do hope that I will see you next time. Until then, please be kind to one another out there. I am Orbital Jeffo. Thank you for watching.